I am Ethan Taylor, a man who once believed that love and happiness were the natural paths of life. But everything changed just 1 week before my wedding. The living room door opened in front of me, and I froze. Suddenly, everything seemed to pause. A strange moment unexpectedly filled the space. It was Hannah, my fiancée, standing there. She looked stunning, dressed in a mysterious black cocktail dress, a string of pearls, sheer black stockings, and high heels. Honestly, she looked gorgeous, but something felt different. Her eyes weren't like they used to be. They no longer held love, but rather avoidance, missing the warmth I was so used to. I couldn't immediately explain why I felt this way, but a strange feeling began to eat away at my heart. "Hannah, what's wrong?" I asked as I stepped inside. I smiled and tried to hug her like always. She quickly looked away. Her voice trembled slightly. I didn't expect you home this early. What's going on?" I moved closer and gently kissed her cheek. "I just came home early to start preparing for our honeymoon." You surprised me," she said, looking down at the floor. Her voice sounded uneasy. "So, where are you going dressed so beautifully?" I smiled, but doubts began to enter my mind. "I'm going somewhere," she said, shaking her head like she didn't want to explain. "Don't worry. I just need a little time to relax." "Where to?" I asked, trying to stay calm, though anxiety started to build inside me. She hesitated. Her answer didn't come right away. "At the hotel downtown. I'll be there alone." Silence filled the room. "So, you're going alone?" I asked again, not wanting to believe what I was hearing. "Yeah, I'm going with a friend," she finally sighed, giving me an answer. At that moment, I began to feel even more uneasy. "Who is this friend? What's their name?" I asked. But she just stood still, her eyes staring out the window, avoiding mine. "I'll be with a friend," she repeated, almost like she was making an excuse. "Is it a man?" My question broke the silence, like glass shattering. She looked down. Her lips trembled. "It's not like that. You misunderstood." She looked nervous. "Not like that." I stared at her, trying to hold back the anger rising inside me. "You're going alone 1 week before our wedding, and you expect me to believe it's not like that?" I just need time to think about everything." Her voice came out weak, like she was begging for forgiveness. I couldn't take it anymore. Everything inside me exploded. "You want to spend the whole weekend with a man, and you expect me to believe he's just a friend?" "You don't understand," she said. Tears filled her eyes as she lowered her voice. "I can't explain. I just need time to figure out this relationship." "What am I to you?" I shouted, my anger out of control. "What is this relationship, if not betrayal, if not lies?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. What kind of time did she need? Time to sleep with another man while we were planning to get married? My heart broke into pieces. She didn't answer. Her silence was more painful than anything she could have said. Then suddenly, I said firmly, "You will tell me his name." "Who is he?" She looked down, her eyes filled with hopelessness. After a few seconds, she whispered, "Scott. Scott Parker. He works with you." When I heard the name Scott Parker, it felt like a lightning strike to my heart. Scott was my boss, and now he was with my fiancé. Rage surged like waves crashing on the shore. "My boss!" I shouted. "That bastard. You slept with him? A man older than me, my boss." Hannah said nothing. She just stood there, her hand on the door handle, looking guilty. "You don't deserve me, Hannah," I said. Each word felt like a knife in my heart. "Our wedding is off. It will never happen." I turned around and walked away, not looking back. She didn't stop me. And just like that, we were finished. I don't know how long I stood there, but when I turned back, Hannah was gone. The door was still open, light from outside spilling into the dark room, as if she had left without saying a word. But I couldn't leave right away. I couldn't let go of the emotions overwhelming my heart. What now? How could I find peace again? All I felt was pain and numbness deep inside me. Part of me wanted to leave immediately, to do something, anything to get rid of these emotions. But another part of me, weak and confused, wanted to keep her here, to get an explanation, to hear a sincere apology. But then I remembered the moment she admitted her betrayal. Scott Parker, the man I trusted, the one I had admired as a mentor. He had secretly been with her.
It was a brutal hit to my self-respect.
A shock I couldn't accept. I sat down, my eyes fixed on the table. There, she had left a short message. Next week, I began a new chapter in my life, and I had to do it before it was too late. It was just one short sentence, but it felt like a deep wound cutting through my mind. What she called a new chapter was, in truth, betrayal. My eyes stared at the paper, but I couldn't understand why she thought this would make our relationship stronger. How could betrayal be a step forward for our future? How could a marriage survive without trust? These questions echoed in my head, but no answers came. I stood up and took a deep breath, trying to calm myself. But when I looked at the ring on my finger, memories of all the beautiful moments we had shared came flooding back. Could everything really end like this? Could I still love someone who had hurt me so deeply? The answer was already clear in my heart. No. I walked back into the living room, the place where all our memories had lived. The wedding photos we had chosen together, the plans for our future. Now all those dreams felt like a cruel joke. And then I noticed something, her phone left on the table. It had to be hers. No one else's. She must have left it behind in a hurry. I didn't intend to do anything, but my hands moved on their own. I picked up the phone and unlocked the screen. A series of messages appeared, conversations between her and Scott Parker. Sweet words, secret plans. I couldn't believe what I was reading. Everything became clear. She hadn't just betrayed me, she had planned it. All of it. Every part of her betrayal had been intentional. It wasn't a mistake, it was a choice. A wave of rage rose inside me again. But this time, it wasn't the anger of a broken-hearted lover. It was the fury of a man whose trust had been destroyed. The feeling was unbearable. My hands shook. I couldn't control my emotions. I wanted to do something, anything, but I knew I had to stay calm. Suddenly, the front door opened again. Footsteps echoed through the room.
It was Caroline.
Her face was streaked with tears. She didn't say a word, just stood there, looking at me like a guilty person waiting to be judged. "Ethan, you can't do this," she said softly, but there was no honesty in her voice. "You can't just leave me like this. I love you.
I just need some time.
I need to do this so we can start over." Start over? I couldn't help the sarcasm in my voice. There's nothing to start over. You've destroyed everything, Caroline. She stepped closer, but I backed away. I wasn't going to be part of this twisted game anymore. "I know I was wrong, but I didn't know what to do," she said. "I love you, but Scott told me I had to do this. He said I needed to prove I had control in this relationship. I just wanted to feel equal." A part of me wanted to laugh at how ridiculous it all sounded. But I felt like I was trapped in some kind of cruel joke. Everything was wrong, from her secret meetings with Scott to the foolish reasons she gave me now. And yet here she was, asking me to forgive her for everything. "You really think I'll understand?" I said, my voice nearly breaking. "You think I'll forgive you for all this? This kind of betrayal can never be forgiven." I turned around, not wanting to hear another word. But then my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "We need to talk. Scott is dead." Those words hit me like an earthquake. Everything around me began to collapse. The moments that followed didn't even seem real anymore. Scott's death changed everything. Caroline looked at me with wide, shocked eyes, like someone who had just lost everything. I can't believe this," I whispered, feeling like I might fall apart. All of this for one man. And now we're facing a tragedy. She didn't say anything. She just stood there, silent, as if there was nothing left to explain. That moment, the stillness, the silence, the cold air in the room, it made me realize I couldn't go on living in the shadow of the past. It was over. The shock from the message made my heart skip a beat. I looked at Caroline. Her eyes had lost all emotion, No pleading, no guilt. She just stood there, frozen. My mind was spinning. I couldn't believe it. Scott Parker, dead? The cost of this betrayal was beyond anything I could have imagined. I can't do this anymore, I said, my voice shaking. It felt like I had been thrown into a bottomless pit. Think about what had happened, about death, about how none of us could change the ending. Caroline stepped closer. Her hands were shaking. Tears filled her eyes. Ethan, I don't know what to say to make things right. I never wanted anyone to die because of this. But I also can't live without making my feelings clear. I can't forgive you, I replied, my voice steady. You didn't just betray me. You betrayed everything we built. You destroyed all the trust one had in you. Now what do you want? For me to forgive you? Caroline was silent. Her eyes looked like she wanted to speak, but the words couldn't come out. It was too late. No words could fix this.
Scott was dead.
My life was broken, and I was the only one left among the wreckage. I turned and walked away, refusing to look at her even one more time. I went straight to my office, the place I always sat when I needed time alone. My body felt heavy. My mind was spinning. All the plans, all the dreams of a happy life with her had disappeared into thin air. Then my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a call from an unknown number. With a shaking hand, I answered. My mouth felt dry as paper. We need to speak with you, Ethan, said the firm voice of a police officer. We have new information about Scott Parker's case. His wife, Loretta, is in custody. I asked, my voice sounding like it didn't belong to me. She killed Scott? Yes, the officer said. She shot Scott multiple times. We need you to come to the station to give a statement. His words hit me like another wave of shock. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Loretta, Scott's wife, someone I never imagined being involved in any of this, she was the one responsible for his death. Why did everything have to end up like this? I stood in silence, my thoughts in chaos. I couldn't stay here anymore. I couldn't face Caroline again. I couldn't live in this space filled with broken memories. I didn't know where I was going, but I had to leave. The police had asked me to come down to the station. But all I could think was, how did everything fall apart so badly? When I arrived, I met a middle-aged officer. His eyes were cold, like someone who had seen too much pain in his lifetime. I sat across from him in silence. The room felt heavy, weighed down by sorrow. We discovered that Loretta knew about her husband's affair, he began. She found out after receiving an anonymous letter from someone at Scott's company. She knew Scott had been secretly seeing Caroline. She was furious, and that led her to take extreme action. So, Loretta killed Scott because of that? I asked, though deep inside, I already knew the answer. He nodded.
Yes.
After she found out, she decided to confront him. She brought a gun. She waited for the right moment. The scene in their living room was brutal. Scott didn't even have time to react. A cold chill ran through me. I couldn't imagine how much pain Loretta must have been in to reach that point. But I also couldn't stop thinking about Caroline, how her actions made everything worse. Scott's death wasn't just one tragedy. It was the result of so many bad choices, not just by Loretta but by Caroline and even me. When I returned home, the weight of everything was too much. Caroline was gone. I had truly lost her. But I also knew I couldn't go back. I didn't love her anymore. Not after what she had done. Still, there was a pain in my chest that I couldn't explain. All I had left were memories and the truth of what I had lost. But one thing was certain, I would never return to that past. The price of betrayal had already cost too much. It was time to stand up and find myself again. I didn't expect that even after it was all over, I would still feel like I was trapped in a nightmare. I thought time would help me forget, but it didn't. Each morning I woke up with the same emptiness. The world around me felt frozen. I didn't even know where to start. The memories of Caroline, of Scott, of the awful moments in our living room still haunted me. But then, something inside me shifted. I realized I couldn't stay trapped in the past forever. I had to let go. Not because I had forgiven her, but because I had to save myself. The pain had lasted long enough. The anger had faded.
And now,
I needed to live again. I went back to work, not because I was ready, but because I needed something to distract me. The long hours, the constant meetings, the endless projects, they gave me a small escape from the pain inside. But each night, when I came home to an empty house, the loneliness returned. I tried talking to friends, even family, but no one truly understood what I was feeling. They all thought I made the right choice by leaving Caroline.
but only I knew what it truly felt like.
I couldn't lie to myself and pretend I was fine. I wasn't, and I didn't know when or if I ever would be again. One day, while sitting in my favorite coffee shop, something unexpected happened. A woman walked in, holding a cup of coffee, her eyes scanning the room.
She stopped when she saw me.
It was Sophia, my current wife. She stood there, unsure of what to do next.
We had never really spoken about the past.
We never talked about Caroline or what I had gone through. But in Sophia's eyes, I could see it. She understood. She knew I was still trying to heal from the betrayal and from Scott's death. She knew I was still carrying that shadow. "I don't know what I can do to help you," Sophia said as she sat across from me. "But I'll always be here." I looked into her eyes. There was a quiet light in them that gave me comfort. Sophia wasn't Caroline, and I didn't love her the same way I had loved Caroline. But I knew one thing: Sophia hadn't betrayed me. She hadn't caused the pain I was carrying. She chose to stay even though I wasn't perfect. As the days passed, I started to understand something important. Life isn't about what you've lost. It's about what you still have. And Sophia, she was the one who helped me find peace again. She didn't need to replace Caroline. She was simply herself. And that was enough. One evening, as we sat at home, Sophia and I talked about the future, our dreams, our fears, and what might come next. Then she asked me, "How do you feel about Caroline now?" I didn't answer right away. The anger was gone. What I felt now wasn't rage, it was regret. Regret for what we could have had. But I knew I couldn't go back. "It's just regret," I finally said, looking out the window as the sky turned orange and pink with the sunset. "I can't change the past, but I can choose what comes next." Sophia didn't say anything more. She just smiled and gently held my hand. That was the comfort I had been searching for, not from Caroline, but from the woman beside me now. In the end, I understood something. Trust is the most valuable thing in any relationship. Once it's broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild. But I also learned that if you keep living in the past, you'll miss your chance to build a better future. Betrayal leaves a deep wound, but it doesn't have to be your end. You can hurt, you can fall, but what matters is that you get back up, because life never stops. Every day is a new chance to begin again. Nothing is more powerful than learning from the pain and finding the strength to love, to trust, and to live once more.